In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to graph on your graphing calculator and to really learn how to adjust your viewing window so that you are getting the most out of this calculator as we begin our graphing unit. So I want you to begin by, if you have not downloaded the paper on Schoology, or at least have it up on your laptop screen as you do this, you're going to need either a graphing calculator, or on your smartphone you can use Wabbit or Calculate 84. So we're going to begin by sketching this function, and to do this, step one is to press y equals and remember to use the x, t, theta end button. So here's my graphing calculator. These buttons underneath the screen control graphing. I'm going to clear out any previous functions that are in here. I'm going to show you a troubleshooting tip immediately. If any of your plots up at the top are blackened, your calculator may not function properly. That means it's graphing a statistical graph in the background. So you want to turn that off by highlighting and hitting enter so that all of them look as you see on my screen. So I'm going to begin by typing in my function, 8x. This is your x button next to the green alpha key. 8x to the fourth plus 8x cubed minus 17x squared minus 6. And you're going to hit zoom 6 to see your standard viewing window. When you look at it, it may take a second to load. What you're hoping to see would be a really good shape of your curve, where you really see all of what we say are critical points, like your peaks and your valleys if it were a roller coaster. So here's what I notice. I've got all this extra space on the left and right where there's nothing being shown. And then I know it must be doing something. It looks like it's coming back up. So I want to see what it's doing down below. So I'm going to begin by adjusting my viewing window. And when you adjust the window, I want to remind you that your min and your max are controlling how far left and how far right for the x. For y, that's up and down. So your minimum is how low and how high you're going to see. Your x scale and your y scale are just how far apart your tick marks are on each axis. So going back to this graph, if I want to get rid of the space on the left and right, I'm going to make my x min and my x max smaller. So right now it's set to the standard viewing window. So I'm going to try -5 to +5. And I want to go, for now, I'm going to go lower and higher. And guys, there's a really good chance that I'm going to just keep adjusting this. So I'm going to try -50 to +50. And then I hit graph to see what it looks like. If it's good, I leave it alone. If it's not a great shape, well, then I try again. You know what, that doesn't really look all that bad. I could potentially, it looks like it's just going to keep going up and up, kind of like a parabola does on either end. We'll talk about this, what we call end behavior in this unit. That's a pretty good graph. I probably didn't need to go as low as I did, so sometimes you want to just play with it a little bit. -40, and you know what, probably 20 would have been fine because it looks like it's just going up and up and up. Yep, and that looks pretty good. So one of the things you want to do then is on your paper, record your viewing window. So I'm going to switch and just show you what I'm talking about. So what I mean is right here, you put, well, we're looking from -5 to +5, and then for the y min, we went -40 up to +20, and you make a sketch of your graph. All right, so we're going to do 2 more for guided practice here. So pause and enter this function into your calculator. I've entered the first one in using guided practice here, and I'm going to just get it back to my standard viewing window, -10 to 10, zoom 6 is the fast way to do that. And let's see what I'm looking at. And sometimes kids say it's a line. It's definitely not a line. These are curves. It has to be linear for it to be a line. So I know, you know what, there's something else going on here, so I need to look way up and way down probably, so I'm just going to start adjusting my window. I may need to go further left and right, so I'm going to make it bigger at first. Here's a tip. Don't ever make your x's as big as your y's to start. So I make my x's get a little bigger. My y's, maybe I'll make those a lot bigger. I'll do negative 50 to 50. Maybe I need to do 100 to 100. Maybe negative 1,000 to 1,000. It takes a lot of adjusting. You just keep looking at the graph and then going back to the window. Okay, so I can see it's doing this little curve right here. And I'm going way out on the left and way out on the right, and I don't need that. So I'm going to go back, and you know what? I probably could have actually made my window smaller. I'm going to, for the left and right, I'm going to do negative 5 to 5. And up high, it didn't really seem to be doing anything interesting. So I'm going to hit 20 now and look at it again. So notice all these little tick marks. I could adjust those if I wanted. Now that's pretty good. I kind of have a sense of what's going on. I'm just going to show you how adjusting the Y scale, because it had all those tick marks. If I change that to 10, now it would give me a tick mark at every 10th value. Right? So I'm only going to look up to positive 10 and take a look at what this looks like. There it is. So on your paper, you would draw what you see on your screen, sketch your curve, because you're seeing, okay, there's where it's like changing direction in its shape. We'll call those inflection points eventually. And on your paper, you're going to write your window. So it would be negative 5 to 5, and then negative 50 to 10 for the Y values. All right, I would like you to try the second one. So I've typed my function in, and I know it's going to be a curve. And I noticed 780 and 151. I've got some pretty big numbers. So that's a clue that maybe my viewing window might end up having some large values involved. So I'm going to start by hitting Zoom 6, standard viewing window, and just checking out what I see here. And I at least see it appearing on the screen, but I don't really know what it's doing. So I'm going to start adjusting my viewing window. I'm going to make my x's a little bit bigger. Maybe I don't actually need to. And I'm probably going to make my y's a lot bigger. Now, it was 780, so I'm going to just try negative 100 to 100 at first. But who knows? I might even have to go up to 780 or beyond. Let's just see what I've got. Well, now I see it going up and back down. Ooh, and then it goes up again. Okay. Well, let's get a few clues from this. So third power means it's going to cross the x-axis 3 times. So I'm seeing the 3 times it passes through. Now remember, when I say passes through 3 times, I could have some complex one. But I definitely need to go higher and lower. So I'm going to adjust my Y min, and I'm going to go up to 800 because I saw that 780 was part of my function. That may be way too big. It may be too small yet. All right, getting a little better. I can see it's going up even higher, so I need to make my Y go higher. So that's the Y max. I don't know how much bigger, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,200. Try this. Oh, close. A little higher yet. So a little higher. About 1,500, 300 more. Again, might be too much. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I can see if or a roller coaster, the top of that peak, the bottom of the valley, and it goes back up. So you sketch this on your paper and you record your viewing window, which ended up being negative 20 to 20 and then negative 800 to 1,500. If you kind of lose the graph altogether, the trick is hit Zoom 6 and just start over. This is definitely something you need to practice. It should become very easy to you after doing several graphs. You do have an assignment on this, so you're going to move on and complete 6 graphs.